Hotep, Black Power, giving honor to the Creator, the ancestors. As always, giving honor to all my family members and comrades that are in the ancestral realm at this time. And also giving honor to you, my brothers and sisters out there, the true brothers and sisters that are fighting for liberation and salvation in the black nation, primarily change in the black community. You know, some of the things, one of the main things that I want to discuss briefly is what needs to take place in the black community for change. You know, we always yell and cry about the things and the injustices that take place in our communities. But we don't talk about the things that we need to change within ourselves. You know, right now, for people who practice the religion of Islam, right now this is the term of Ramadan. Whereas, you know, true followers of Islam abstain from any foods of eating, profanity, sexual activity, and any type of negative thinking and behavior during the sunlight hours for a period of 30 days as a way of showing the deity that they praise, which is Allah, showing Allah the discipline that they are practicing to give homage to Allah and pay homage to Allah and give thanks to Allah, which in that religion I believe is a truly beautiful thing. However, I don't practice any religions, but I deal with spirituality. And I'm fasting as well during this period. However, when I do these video clips, you know, I do use profanity, in which I'm generally not supposed to use profanity, but for the sake of this is what I do. This is what I do in terms of my messages that I give out. You know, and there's no, I'm not trying to harm anyone, because that's the primary purpose, not to actually physically harm anyone or you know, or assault anyone. But back to the subject at hand. We always talk about the things that we would like to have, but we're not willing to make the sacrifices in order to be prepared and fit in all aspects of our beings to receive or to go get these things that we so desire for our liberation and salvation. You know, white supremacy is never going to let up off of us. We might as well, you know, you might as well come to an understanding and be clear about that. And in fact, it gets worse and worse each day. Like the LeBron James case, the African American Museum, you know. So, you know, we got a long ways to go. You know, we have a long ways to go, but it's some things that we need to do within and for and within ourselves, such as you know, domestic violence, drug and alcohol consumption, not willing and neglecting black consciousness in terms of understanding who you are, where you come from, which will determine where you're going. Fear of white supremacy, fear of this cracker. Self-hatred. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. These are the things, black on black violence and all. See, these are the things that lead to the black on black violence, as far as the self-hatred and substance abuse, excessive alcohol use, consumption, excessive drug use, domestic violence, absentee parenting, the lack of education, in which it doesn't solely rest on the hands of the black community in terms of our education. White supremacy gives us an education, and they give our babies the education that they want to give them, to train them to be employees, which is just an extension of a slave and indentured servitude, opposed to the white supremacy teaches their children how to run businesses, run corporations, how to be good slave masters. I'll give you an example. And also, let me backtrack a little bit. Homosexuality, which is running rampant in the black community. Now, I have nothing against no individual per se that practices that particular death style. I don't call it a lifestyle. However, I never will condone it. But I want to say this, that the energy, that particular energy and that aura of that particular behavior and that thought process comes from Rome. It is not in the DNA of the African mind, spirit, and soul. Never was, never will. This is something that this ice ape created within himself. It's in his DNA. It is in his DNA. That's why they have no problem exercising that behavior anywhere. It's an issue with us. It's more beginning to be like an epidemic. If you look back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this particular dis-ease was not fluently practiced in the black community. And so, to be a part of white supremacy, to be plugged in, and when I say plugged in, I mean to be given gifts, given financial security, you have to engage in that particular behavior. And when you, even in DC, if you in DC, Washington, DC, rush hour, during the time where people going to work, the hustle and bustle, cars are gridlocked, you see all the 90% of the black males you see downtown that are not driving FedEx trucks or UPS trucks or peddling these bikes with seats on the back, peddling these wealthy ice apes around. The majority of the brothers that are in the corporate structure are homosexual. No back pockets, tight slacks. You'll see them with white men. You'll see them walking with white men, switching, going to get lunch for them, breaking bread with them, happy hour after work. The the nigger jokes. They sit and laugh with the crackers. You know, and anyone such as myself, heterosexual black male God warrior, mustache, goatee, bald head, we are considered someone with a threatening posture when we enter any of those office buildings downtown. You know, but if you have, you know, curl kit in your head, you know, and you know, you're you know, got the pointy toe shoes, long pointy toe shoes, you know, with the pink or purple tight fitting shirt, very tight fitting shirt, tight fitting suit, the high water pants, no facial hair with your briefcase, you are allowed in that building. But someone as myself, and I've experienced that over and over again, you know, I have to go through the metal detector and present identification, the whole nine. I don't belong down there, and it looks like modern day Rome in downtown Washington D.C. during the morning hours. Men hugging men, women hug. It's that, you know, that epidemic is of the norm. So that's just, you know, one of the things that we have to try to get a hold and get a grip on in the black community, because they're teaching our babies that, you know, making them read books, you know, My Two Dads and all this type of shit in school, you know, to allow them and encourage them to be homosexual or bisexual, and that has to be abolished, you know. And that's where I give props to Umar Johnson for being such a genius in his craft as to dealing with school and the children and education department. Also, the self-hatred, which is displayed on television every day. The self-hatred displayed every day. It's always a new movie coming out. It's always underground B movies. You know, all they deal with is excessive trapping, strip clubs, you know, disrespect of the black woman. You know, as long as she's naked and hitting blow off the table, you know, with a $100 bill and all of this type of, you know, vicious, wicked shit that the people participating wouldn't allow their children or their parents to engage in that. You know, but they feel comfortable doing that to someone else's daughter, mother, or sister. So that's of the norm. We consider that a good movie when a black man's head is blown off. But how many movies do you see where the black community is fighting the Klan or the Aryan Brotherhood or any of the 15,000 right-wing, white supremacist militia groups in this country? Because it's over 15,000, and they never let you hear anything about it. But if you create a movement or an organization, it's put on national TV, it's presented as a radical racist movement, which everybody is racist, whether you want to accept it or not. Drug use. Start explaining to the young gods and the young kings and queens that these drugs are given to us by right-wing white supremacist militia groups in the Midwest and in the West. They have 15,000 groups, and what they do is they supply weapons and drugs into the black communities with the mission that it destroys the entire black community. That our brothers and sisters, that we kill each other off through murder and through drug and alcohol consumption and through black on black violence. These guns are brought in, and these guns are brought in through trains, freight trains that come through your town, you know, and once they come in, they always have, sometimes they have gun shows, but most of the times they have this expo shit where they have computers for $5 and Nikes for, you know, $3 Jordans and all this at your nearest armory or convention center. And that's where the transfer and exchange of the weapons take place. The drugs come through the same process, but the drugs are handed to local officials, councilmen, senators, governors, handed to the task force. The task force chooses who's going to be in charge of the drug trade in particular areas of the city. That's why if you were ever a drug dealer, you never got the chance or the opportunity, and they really didn't want you to even inquire about meeting the person that's in charge of the drugs. So that, and when they're finished with that individual, you'll see that they're murdered or they're put away forever. Sometimes they may be given a pass to leave the town or leave the country, provided that they never open their mouth, which they don't take a chance like that. So, the incest, the sexual molestation, all those things that take place, they make movies about these things. And so, anything that is in the movies and on TV is practiced in the black community, because our babies watch more television than any other race of people. Black people, period. We watch almost 40 hours of television a week. That's like 16 or 10 sitcoms a day, with the Asian being the least. They may watch 10 to 15 hours a week. That's like the news. And we wonder why they're academically gifted, because they have more time to work on their academia, opposed to the black community, where single parenting homes, if the mother or the father is not receiving welfare, they will have to more likely work 2 jobs. Work 2 jobs, and they don't have the adequate time to properly monitor and ensure that the children are mentally consuming proper information off of the television. And so these are the things we have to change. They have to change. You know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Our diets have to also change, because what you put into you motivates you to do certain things as well as guides your thinking. Because if you're eating healthy, you're feeling healthy, you begin to talk healthy, you begin to think healthy. Then you do healthy things. So these are some of the things that we have to change in the black community in order for us to be able to stand up as a force to be reckoned with as a race of people. Because once we rid ourselves of these things, these ills that are killing us in the community, there'll be no problem and no hassle into receiving what's ours in all aspects. So, what role will you play in this, into devoting your life to save the babies? And not only to save the babies, but save yourself first. Of the things that I've mentioned, of the plague, the things that plague the black community, which category do you fall in? Because some of us eat, we gamble excessively, we eat excessively, we gossip excessively, and we see nothing wrong with that, because we measure our processes of death. Well, I'd rather eat a chicken wing than smoke rocks. Which they, you know, and if you look at it as far as the damage that it does over a period of time, both of them will kill you. And that's what we have a habit of measuring the level of death that we engage in. Some of you men talk about men all day. You're man fans. You know, you sit around and you gossip, you know, which is a disease. You talk about people all the time, and you're never talking about yourself, because you are afraid to look at yourself for what you might see and find out about you. So you fear that, you know, to no end. That fear is overwhelming. So you rather gossip and talk about other people's shortcomings, other people's struggles, and you're supposed to be males, and that could have a lot to do with what you eat, because you may be taking in an excessive amount of soy, which soy has a high level of estrogen in it. And there's been cases of individuals, particularly vegans, calling themselves eating healthy, but they're taking in an overload of soy, and they've become oversensitive. They've become begin to take on a female energy, talking about men, talking about people. Your voice tone changes. You know, you used to say, yeah, brother. You know, then it changed, you know. And it could be soy. Soy, because there's been cases of men have grown breasts. Supposedly conscious vegan brothers. You know. And once we eliminate these things, eliminate these processes, and stop gauging our levels of death, and go ahead, because an epidemic is an epidemic, a dilemma is a dilemma, a situation is a situation, a solution is a solution. And once again, let me go back. What category do you fall in? And are you willing to change that situation that you're in? You know, even down to the overeating, you know, sitting around, because a lot of you queens do that. You overeat, and then when you become overweight, you wait till that situation has overwhelmed you to take action. And same with the brothers. You know, we can be overweight too. Because sometimes we think having size on us is like, you know, this macho image bullshit. But you're really toxic. Because you walk around with a whole bunch of toxic waste in your body. And I say that, see, these things, you know, eating, you know, those things can lead to how you think. How you think is how you're going to act. How you act is how you're going to react. And how you react determines what your consequences will be. I'll give you an example. What you eat, what you think, how you act, you end up killing somebody because you got self-hatred. End up killing somebody because you eat out all the time. You think that's gangster and all that, putting all this bullshit in you, which alters your thinking. You end up doing something with result of you being incarcerated or murdered yourself, or wanting to be murdered, based on, once again, what you watch on the television. You know, so, you know, there we have it. And like I said, what role and what category do you fit in? And what changes are you willing to make? I'm going to post a survey up on this video, you know, asking the question, does this video apply to you or not? Till we meet again, brothers and sisters. Black Power. Hotep. Black Power.